From a firefighting standpoint, I think it really captures what it feels like on a fire set, I'd say fire set, on an emergency scene, just because time kind of seems to slow down a little bit when you're doing that stuff, and if it's all working clockwork as it should, it's amazing how much gets done and you don't even realize how much time has passed. So I think in a way that just kind of felt appropriate in how we filmed it.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to have this not only be a camera test to demonstrate the capabilities of the Flex 4K, but also have it be a cinematic portrait of firefighting, something that would, that would be a testament to what you guys do. It would just, kind of explore that in a way we've never seen it. See it at high frame rate, be a piece that could benefit the department and, help with recruitment and just showcase, how absolutely astonishing firefighting is. Anytime we're doing high speed together, we still write a script and we think about it like any narrative movie. Here are all the actions we want, here are all the things that we want to happen, but we need to condense those moments. Instead of being 10 to 20 seconds long, it needs to be 1 or 2 seconds long, or maybe 3.5. And so, I'll have a discussion with Greg and we'll figure out, okay, here's what we want for camera blocking, here's what we want for blocking, and I'll go and orchestrate that with the actors or the stuntmen, or in this case, there were no actors or stuntmen, it was all real firefighters, all volunteers from Hebron and Glastonbury, and we'll come up with a way to have all of these little overlapping actions that'll give you a whole bunch of different dramatic moments that just stagger in at tenths of a second. And then Greg takes it from there.
Yeah, so depending on frame rate, you're limited to the buffer size of the camera, which is the RAM. And on this particular camera, at the time that we had it, we had 32 gigs for the buffer. When the camera is actually released, it's going to be 64 gigs. But 32 gigs at 1,000 frames per second at 4K resolution, we have 2.2 seconds of record time.
So the camera's recording 16 gigabytes a second to its memory. It's really quite an amazing amount of data.
Mm-hmm. So we really have to be, the trigger time if you want to get, for instance, the guys kneeling down and opening the bail. I mean, that action, I think if they were to do it for real, it would probably be 5 seconds, or 4 seconds for them to actually go through that motion. But we had to speed up, like Brendan said, we had to have them speed that action up significantly so that it's not going to take forever, and we can condense it and actually capture it in the amount of record time that we have. So it was this pretty in-depth, discussion that we had to have about how are we gonna get all this stuff and get a beginning and end in this little amount of time.
Yeah, it's almost like every shot is its own mini movie, its own story, and you're taking all of these different dramatic moments, emotional moments, and physical movement and condensing it all. Mm-hmm. And then you have to shoot it, and it's this dance between the camera and the subject matter that is incredibly quick. And it's very kinetic and kind of crazed looking while Greg is operating, but then you come back and it's this graceful move that's perfectly framed for every piece of it. And there's just something that I think, from your background in sports also just comes through, where you have this connection between your body and the camera. And for high speed, that's, that's an even more kind of kinetically and technically challenging dance than it would be if you're just shooting 24 and you're operating handheld. I think having volunteer firefighters and real firefighters as opposed to any actors or stuntmen gives it this air of absolute legitimacy, because that's really what they would do in a fire, and it's the people who fight fires doing it.
Volunteers, they do it not for money. I mean, they do it for fun and for community. And I think a lot of them have been sharing this to say, check this out, and this is what we do, and it's very exciting.